Right, chapter 1, the concepts revised in this or completed in this chapter will be in both paper 1 and paper 2 for tests and exam purposes. We are dealing with patterns, relationships, and representations. The first thing I want to do is revise the understanding of patterns that we did in grade 10. Right, the homeowner decides to enclose his property with a fence that has one gate entrance. Right, and if we look at this, we only have two values. We've got this block here and this block here. Right, in the first one, if I buy no fencing, I will have to pay 500 Rand. So what does that mean? That means that no fencing, so it is going to be the fencing plus the gate. So I've got no fencing, so therefore the gate costs 5,000 Rand. The next thing we have to find out is how much fencing costs per meter. So I would go to the second block where I've got 100 meters of fencing plus the gate equals 50,000 Rand. Now we know that the gate is 5,000 Rand, so the fencing equals 50,000 Rand, that's the total cost, minus 5,000 Rand. So the fencing will cost 45,000 Rand. Right, and now we know that 100 meters of fencing will cost 45,000 Rand. But we need to find out what 1 meter costs. So 1 meter to X Rand. Right, pirate method. First check meters under meters, rands under rands. X equals, remember pirates divide up and multiply down. So I will say 1 divided by 100 times 45,000. You go and put that on your calculator, equals 450 Rand per meter of fencing. Once you've worked that out, you can then find the values that are missing. So let's go and have a look what 70 meters of fencing will cost. So 70 meters equals D. But now I know I can set up an equation. So the cost will equal the gate plus 70 meters times 450 Rand per meter. So the cost will be 5,000 Rand, and 70 times 450 equals 31,500. 31,500. If I add those together, I will get 36,500 Rand. And so you can carry on doing it with all the rest of those variables. So over here, I've filled in all the values for you. So you will see I could have a look at a constant difference. We did this last year. A constant difference means that when I subtract, so now because these are sequential, I can say 14 minus 5, difference is minus, will give me 9,000 Rand. 23 minus 14 will give me 9,000 Rand. So that means for every 20 meters, because 0 to 20 is 20, 20 to 40 is another 20. So for every 20 meters, my price is going to increase by 9,000 Rand. So that means that for every 1 meter of fencing, the price increases by 450 Rand. Okay, so that is a constant difference. And remember, our constant differences gave us straight line graphs. So a graph like that showed a constant difference, but this graph, it has a base fee of 5,000 Rand, which is the cost of the fence, and then it is going to increase by 450 Rand per meter, which will make a straight line. Remember, you must do your graphs using a ruler. That is a constant difference graph. Now we want to look at this scenario here. The grade 10 boys are playing soccer and accidentally smashed the computer center's window. The boy who kicked the ball must pay 1,200 Rand, 1,200 Rand. So now the goalie feels a little bit sad and he says, well, I wasn't a particularly good goalie, so I'm going to help you pay that. So if the two of them club together and pay the 1,200 Rand, each one of them would pay 600 Rand. And then the other boys also decide, no, we were all playing, let's help these two. So if there were 3 boys playing, they would each pay 400 Rand. If there were 4 boys playing, they would each pay 300 Rand. 6 boys would pay 200 Rand each. 12 boys would pay 100 Rand each. Right, this is called a constant product because 1 times 1,200 is 1,200. 2 times 600 will give me 1,200. 3 times that will give me 1,200. 4 times 300 is 1,200. 6 times 200 is 1,200. 12 times 100 is 1,200. Right, so if I multiply going down, I know that my price has got to get to 1,200. Right, if there are 9 boys participating, it means I've got to say 1,200 divided by 9, and that will give me 133,33. So that is how much each boy would pay if 9 of them clubbed together for this. This is known as a constant product because the product, when I multiply, all of these will give me 1,200 Rand. Right, and there it's filled in neatly for you. I want to ask you, so could I, right, I'm going to explain to you now why we can't have a 0 there and we can't have a 0 there. So what does this graph look like? So if I plot this graph, I've got 1 boy to right up to 12, and I've got 1,200 Rand. This would be 600, 300, and so on. So 1 boy must pay 1,200 Rand. 2 boys must pay 600 Rand. 4 boys must pay 300 Rand. So basically, my graph is going to look like that. I just want to rub this a little bit out. Let me draw it a little bit better. And we get closer and closer to the axis. Right, why I can't have a 0? Because if I have 0 boys and I had to extend this graph, can I have no boys paying 5,000 Rand? No, that is ridiculous. By the same token, can I have 100 boys each paying nothing? No, so that is why you do not have a 0 there and you do not have a 0 there. Right, this is a new concept, a constant ratio relationship, and we are dealing with inflation here. Food prices, the highest in 2 years. Food prices continue to increase at a rate of 7.4%. A family spends on average 3,000 Rand on food per month in 2011. Complete the table below to show the year-on-year increase. Year-on-year increase. Remember, inflation works on, I take 3,000 Rand, it increases, so plus 7.4%, 7.4% of 3,000 Rand. So that is going to increase by 3,000 plus 3,000. So it will increase by 222 Rand. So now I have to add these two together. 3,222 Rand. That would be in 2012. To get to 2013, I would have to take 3,222 plus 7.4% of my new value, which is 3,222. Now remember, this is the same as a compound interest, which equals 7.4 multiplied by 3,222 equals, so now you've got 3,222 plus 238,428. Remember, we only round off right at the end. So if I add those together, I will now have 3,460,428. And remember, last year we looked at the compound interest formula, what it does in a graph. So we start off at 3,000, there's a base fee. And what is going to happen, that is what your graph is going to look like. And that's an exponential graph, just so that you know the name of it. You won't be asked to say that. So when I want to find out what pattern my scenario follows, I would first try for a constant difference. Okay, if I took this away there, I would have got 222. You can see if I subtract that, I do not get 222, and so the constant difference doesn't work. Then the next thing I try for is a constant product. Well, there's no ways you can multiply a year by money and get some meaningful value. So a constant product also doesn't work. So now we're going to check for a constant ratio or a constant rate. Constant rate, constant ratio is always to do with percentage. Right, let's see how the food prices increase using this table. So we've already decided that it cannot be a constant difference, because that minus that will not give you the same value as that minus that. We've also decided that it is not a constant product because I can't multiply a year by food price. So the third alternative is to check for a constant ratio. Now your constant ratio says that divided by that. So if I say 3,222 divided by 3,000 equals, I'll get 1,074. If I divide 3,460,43 by 322, I will get 1,074. And if I do it that divided by that, I will get 1,074. So you can see I now have a constant ratio because I am, or a constant rate. I am dividing and I get the same value. Right, now what does that actually mean? So, 3,000 Rand, let's work it like this. So if I take 3,000 Rand and I increase it by 7.4%. So in other words, 3,000 Rand is going to be my 100%. I'm going to increase it, which means add by 7.4%. So I'm going to have 100% plus 7.4%, and that will give me 107.4%. If I write it as a decimal, so 107.4 over 100 will give me 1,074, which is what we have got there. Okay, but we're going to do it like this. So in 2012, the food price increases. So I want to find out how much the food will be if I increase it, not rands, if I increase it to 107%. So 107.4%. Right, we can use pirate method. So x equals, I go to the place where I've got two values, I divide up, so 107.4 divided by 100 times down times 3,000. And if I put that in my calculator, I will get 3,222. Right, unlike the others, we cannot set up an equation and go and calculate, for example, the food price in 2018. We have to do a year-on-year calculation. So I would first have to go 2016. So 2016, this now becomes my base fee, which is my 100%, 3,991.52 represents my 100%, and I want to know what the increase is if I add 7.4%. So how much is it going to cost me? That would give me, again I do that, sorry, that would be 107.4%. And you will see, if I take 107.4 divided by 100, I will get that value there. So I say 107, so x equals 107.4 divided by 100 times 3991.52, and then I would get 4286.892. Remember, round off in your last step. So the groceries would then cost 4,286.89 per month in 2016. Right, I've written a nice summary here for you, and I've just labeled A and B. A is the independent variable, and remember your independent variable always goes on your horizontal axis. Your dependent variable goes on the vertical axis. Right, if there is a constant difference, so if I take B1, B2 minus B1 equals 7, B3 minus B2 equals 7, B4 minus B3 equals 7. I have just chosen a random number, but you will see that all of them come to 7. That is a constant difference because when I subtract, I get 7. A constant product, you're going to say A1 times B1 will give me 10. A2 times B2 will give me 10. That multiplied by that, so I'm multiplying each time and I will get a value of 10. That is a constant product relationship. Constant ratio is if I take B2, so I say B2 divided by B1, I got 1,074. B3 divided by B2, 1,074, and that divided by that would give you the same. That is a constant ratio relationship. Constant difference, we're going to have a straight line, either like that or like that. Constant product is our inverse, and constant ratio is our exponential graph. Right, so I've shown you what the graphs look like, and here was the monthly food cost. And you couldn't see very much from that graph. In fact, it looks like a straight line graph, so I added in many, many more months. So in 2050, those same groceries are going to cost you just under 50,000 a month. That's quite scary. Right, you have all the information to be able to do exercise 1 on page 19.